Hi there, my name is Bruce Rain from Breakers Creations and thank you for joining me. Before I launch into all my hellos and everything like that, I would like to have a special shout out to start off with. I am speaking to anyone who is actually watching this video as a replay and not watching it live. So if there's anyone here who is actually watching this after the live stream, I want to say a shout out to you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for actually watching these not live. And just curious to know, please leave a message in the comments as to why you don't watch them live. Perhaps they're too long and boring and you like to be able to fast forward them, or maybe I'll live stream in an unsuitable time where you might be sleeping. So anyhow, I would like to know one way or the other. So to anyone who's watching this after the fact, please say hello in the comments and let us know. So anyhow, that's that. Now, I'm actually going to say hello to the people who are here. So hello to Kai, who's given us the traditional Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. And of course, the response to that is oi, oi, oi. So that's just how it's done. Retro Techie, hello. And OA and Enzo Fitzhugh. Jay from the House of Moth is here. Joe Williams, Vintage Hillbilly Shack, Apples Anonymous. Who else we got? Lucas Elliott, Max Ones. Jared Burma, SadMac356 has a new icon. DJ Craze, Patrick Pitts, Daniel Flakala, I don't know, I'm sure I've been corrected on the right way to say it in the past, and I, as usual, don't remember these sorts of things. CS Waffle, hello. Spirit Walker Adventures. Yeah. Anyone else here who might be watching for the first time, just jump on and say hello. Please do. Rob Brown, hello. So, Flakela. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, I'll get that right next time. Maybe. Ezekiel Blah, hello. What have we got? Felix Lorencel. Is that right? Hello. Dependra Katawoda. Hello. Waffy, not waffle. Is it really? CS Waffy, it is too. Look, I've been saying that one wrong. Never mind. Every time, I know, every time. So anyhow, I am now at new levels of chaos on my workbench. That is mainly because I've been spending so much time lately working on videos and this. I've been making some updates to this. About right, cool, I'm happy with that. Scarlet Swordfish is here, hello. Wayne3225. So anyhow, anyone who's not aware, I have recently released a video on this ultrasonic cleaner, the DIY ultrasonic cleaner, with my Steve Ballmers on the fans. Don't you love seeing his little bald head spin around? Whee! Just in case anyone thinks that might be sort of an act of disrespect or anything like that, I want to say that even though I am a Mac person, and so obviously Steve Ballmer is the enemy, from the old Microsoft days, the truth is, I love the fact this guy has no filter. I mean, these fantastic photos of him sticking his tongue out, he just doesn't care what people think of him. And you got to respect the guy for that. And I think it's worthy of then cutting out these silly faces and sticking them on the fans. So, yeah. Did a parcel from me arrive from me yet? It has not yet arrived. I will let you know, Kai. It is a public holiday tomorrow, so it's Anzac Day here. So we probably won't get any deliveries tomorrow. Sorry, Sunday here today. So maybe on Tuesday. But I will let you know as soon as a package does arrive. The packages from you usually arrive quite quickly. So. What have we got? Watch the ultrasonic cleaner video with Lou. She understood none of it beyond box makes wee 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 noises. Things get clean, but found it relaxing to watch anyway. Well, that's my goal. As long as it's relaxing to watch, that's the important thing. Hello, Thomas. How's it going? Yeah. So, right. So anyhow, I just obviously a quick little update on things. Obviously, my life has been in a state of flux lately. There have been, it's been an ongoing thing, the situation with the Amtech Flux. For anyone who has been hiding under a rock or doesn't care, if it's the latter, I apologise. I'm just going to go talk about this again. There was a bit of a situation going on with Amtech Flux in that Amtech Flux was being essentially made and fulfilled by a company called Inventec, and then that got taken over by Amtech Distribution and Amtech Manufacturing, and they are now fulfilling all the Amtech orders, and it's still extremely confusing for a lot of people. I was looking at a post on Facebook today where someone was saying, "Oh no, I've always been buying Amtech. I've never bought Inventec before." And of course, the thing that I just cannot seem to get through to people's heads is that if you were buying Amtech prior to, let's say, from 2017 to 2021, you were getting it from Inventec, whether you thought you were or not. Or if you've got your old tubes, all you have to do is look at them, and they have Inventec written on them. So that's something that I'm kind of still having trouble getting through to people. And then, of course, the other thing I'm also struggling to get through to people is that there are two types of V2. Strictly speaking, there are three types of V2. There is ASM, which has been mislabeled as V2. There is original Formula V2, and then there is new Formula V2, which came out, I think it's the end of last year, possibly the beginning of this year. So I think it might have been the beginning of this year, new Formula. And the pine scent, that is confusing people as well, because everyone's going, "Oh yeah, this is the original V2, it's got the pine scent." And it's like, no, the original V2 has never had a pine scent. It has a terpene smell. The new Formula V2, which just came out this year, that one has what they call the pine scent. So anyhow, you keep saying this stuff until I go blue in the face. People have made up their own theories and ideas about it. And then, of course, I've got a bunch of conspiracy theorists out there thinking that this new company, Amtech, are lying and that they're actually manufacturing this stuff in China and just a front company. And it's like, what evidence do you have of that? I mean, I got a delivery from these guys and it came from the States. Yeah, I mean, sure, it could have been made in China and shipped across and then to me, but that doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, and I don't really understand why that particular conspiracy theory has even started. But anyhow, some people, Some people. So anyhow, what do we got? You could read the phone book and get views from the ASMR crowd. I can't stand ASMR videos, so I can't see myself going down that path. Speaking of Flux, I got my 30cc syringe of NC559 V2TF. Looks like the 559 ASM UV I had before was a very convincing Chinese knockoff. No wonder it was a bit disappointing. Fair enough. I like the clear 559, no smell needed. Yeah, so the ASM, which is the one that most people are used to, people who were ordering V2 before, and they were getting it from Inventec, and it was actually ASM with a V2 label on it. It's a great flux. It is a great flux, and it is probably my preferred flux. I mean, I love the way it performs. So, you know, I mean, this idea that when Inventec was... Yeah, there is obviously still some knockoff Amtech out there. There's still, you know, stuff being made overseas, and it's not the real deal. But the confusion getting caused lately where people ordered it and got something they weren't expecting. Now, a couple of things. Recent additions. So, yes, obviously, I've got my ultrasonic cleaner here at the moment. I have some new drivers on their way, ultrasonic drivers on their way, just to replace these ones I have in here to see if they're more durable than the ones I've got. But what I've also discovered, it's all about the heat. Heat seems to be the killer of these things. So what I've done is I've now made a little box inside here, 3D printed a little box. I have the ultrasonic drivers mounted inside that box, and that has its own cooling system. So two little 60mm fans, 12-watt 60mm fans, keeping that area cool. And in my initial tests, it seems to be doing a pretty good job. It's keeping the transformers perfectly cool, and it's keeping the voltage regulators down under about, they peak out at probably high 30s, whereas before they were getting over 100 degrees Celsius, and that certainly can't be good for them. So now they're hovering around about the 30 degrees Celsius mark. Don't ask me what that is in Fahrenheit. Lewis Rossman sells the real stuff. Yeah, well, the internet says lots of things. Lewis Rossman sells Inventec. He buys direct from Inventec. So he will probably continue to sell Inventec. Now, what we don't know at this stage is whether it will be continued, whether the product that Inventec sell, whether it will be continued to be called Amtech. Because at the moment, the word Amtech isn't owned by any of those companies. It's owned by a Chinese individual. So so there's a good chance that Inventec can keep calling their product Amtech in perpetuity, but we'll see what happens. But at the end of the day, Lewis Rossman buys from Inventec, has always bought from Inventec, which means he has been selling the ASM formula with a V2 label on it. Now, if you want the ASM, you're fine, because you've been getting it all along, even with the V2 label on it. If you want the actual V2, then you're not going to get it from Rossman, because Inventec don't manufacture it. They manufacture ASM with the V2 label on it. And if anyone has any sort of doubts about whether that might just be not true, the fairly significant staffing restructure that's been happening at Inventec might say otherwise. So anyhow, what else are we going to mention? Yeah, if anyone is wondering why on earth would I want to buy V2 anyway, and why can't I just use ASM, whether it has a V2 label on it or not, V2 is meant to be easier to clean off. So for hobbyist solderers that maybe don't have an ultrasonic cleaner, V2 is meant to be a lot easier to clean off afterwards. So, okay, so here we go. I did get a fake tube, and it was 223 type flux in a relabeled as Amtech, right? Yeah, now see, the 223 is an interesting one, because I'm sure I have tried it, but I need to try it again now up against all these other ones, but I've got to get some. Hello to Patrick, how's it going? Spirit Walker Adventures, did I say hello to you before? If I didn't, hello. Okay, so, oh, Steve is here. What the, are you all done? Are you back home, Steve, or are you chatting from remote locations, as yet unknown locations? So for anyone who doesn't know, Steve has been at the old VCF East this weekend, which I imagine, it's Saturday there, so I imagine that'll be on again tomorrow. But I believe that Steve is close enough that he's able to actually drive to it and then drive home at the end of the day. He doesn't have to get accommodation there. So, and so, yeah, that gives him the luxury of being able to go to the event and then sort of go home and then end up on my stream chat. We're home, excellent. Patrick has been at VCF too, awesome. So anyhow, obviously shout out to anyone who has been to VCF East today, and I hope you all managed to grab a bargain or see something awesome. We don't have anything like that here in this part of the world, so it's disappointing. We do have some vintage computer stuff here, but they're nothing on the scale of the VCF things, which is, you know, no minivan, just the Prius. Was that on purpose, Steve? Was that on purpose, so that you can't come home with everything? I've seen some of Steve's purchases, but I won't make mention of them because I'm sure he's going to want to do videos on them, and I do not want to provide any spoilers. But I will say he did buy himself a computer that I already have. I don't know if he already had one and he's just got another one. And I have to admit, the price he paid, I felt like it was probably at the upper limit of what Steve would pay for that particular model. But I'm assuming it's in very, very good condition. Another couple of updates. I have recently purchased, well, not recently, ages ago, I purchased a heating bed, soldering heating bed. It's a little blue thing. It's about that sort of size there. and you plug it in and it gets really hot, up to 350 degrees Celsius. And you can then place a board on top of it, and that heat will just slowly permeate and it will melt the solder, and then you can actually just pluck parts off it. It's a really, really handy thing for desoldering things, because you can just literally put it there, wait, and once it heats up, you just pluck things off. Now, the really cool thing about it was this. I was able to remove a PDS socket in one piece without any little pins damaged, without any melted plastic. Just came straight off. Not only that, have a look at this. I got that off without damaging it. How cool is that? That is one of the little sideways connector sockets for a Color Classic or an LC575 or an LC520 or an LC550. So yeah, that, how cool is that? Now, I don't know how important it is, but it's good. I think it's good. So another quick mention here within the world of the SCSI emulators. The Azul SCSI is officially on sale now. The blue SCSI is now has a new USB updater and stuff like that. So if anyone's buying blue SCSIs from me, which you can't do at the moment because of stock issues, but I should have them back on sale this week, that you can now update them yourself using a USB cable. So that's a really important thing. I will probably be doing a video on that as well. There is some drama, I believe, in the world of SCSI emulators, but I'm not going to touch on that now, and I do hope it resolves itself reasonably soon. So let's just have a quick look at the chat. The one that you hug and it would shatter. Yes, that's the one I'm talking about, Steve. It is an all-in-one. It's not the all-in-one, but it is an all-in-one unit with nice big heavy CRT screen sitting on top of some very, very delicate spindler plastics. As I mentioned, I have one of those, and I was going to recap the analog board, and then I ended up giving up because the process of opening it up, it just started crumbling. So you can stay together. I'll deal with it when it breaks. Is that the hot plate one or the IR one that holds the board in a frame? It's the hot plate one. So it's a very basic one. So there's a little bit of a story to go with this, and I'll be as quick as I can with it. I bought it from banggood.au, which there's just stuff in China, and they had some photos of it, and they were saying that it was a 200 and I'm probably going to ask for your help on this one, Kai, so I hope you're listening. So anyhow, they were selling the thing as, you know, sort of a 110 volt unit. And I had seen some photos of exactly the same unit and saw a sticker on the back saying 110 to 230 volt. So I thought, you know what? I reckon this has, a switching type power supply that'll just adapt to whatever voltage, but they're just advertising it as 110 volts. Anyhow, when the thing arrived, it definitely had a 110 volt sticker on the back. And if you peeled that sticker up, there was a 230 volt sticker underneath it. So it clearly had been adapted, converted, whatever, changed for 110 volt usage. So anyhow, when I opened it up, I basically found that the electronic circuitry, things like the the control panel at the front, the thermostat, all of that stuff seemed to just run off 10 volt AC power. And so inside it had a little wound transformer for 110 in, 10 volt out. So I went out and I bought myself a transformer 240 volt in, 10 volt out. AC, of course. Swapped the transformers over, wired it all up, switched it on, works a treat, running beautifully. So I've effectively converted this 110 volt into a 240/230 volt unit. But there is clearly some other differences with regards to the heating system. And the reason I say that is because it is meant to be an 800 watt unit, but when I switch it on and the hot plates get hot, it consumes around about 2,700 watts. It gets hot really fast, and once it gets to temp, it just cuts out and it just does its normal thing. And then once it's actually up to temp, it only uses a tiny amount of wattage to actually keep it up at the temp. So what I'm thinking is it the 946 C200 by 200 unit? Yeah, let me grab it. Hang on. It's just here in a box, and I'm going to take it out of the box, and I'm going to show you all. Show you all. This is it here. This is the hot plate at the top. It's got a nice little zippy sound to it because it's got little fine little stuff in it. And it's doesn't have a model number anywhere, but I'm sure it did somewhere. But anyhow, this is it. Use the same heating element as the British kettle. Essentially, those are rated 2.7 kilowatts, 2.8 kilowatt max draw for a standard UK ring, maybe 16 amp breaker. So that's interesting. So effectively, other than the fact that I may well blow a fuse if I switch anything else on at the same time this is heating, I'm thinking that there is probably an adjustment or something inside it that limits the amount of power that it's dishing out to the heating element. Inside the circuit, there are two variable resistors. One of those variable resistors is designed for calibration. So if the front is reading 300 degrees C and this is actually 310 degrees C, you can adjust that little variable resistor to make it so that the thermostat adjusts to more accurately what this is actually doing. So that's what one of the variable resistors does. Then there's another variable resistor on there, and I don't know what that does, but I don't want to twiddle it, because just in case. But I'm wondering whether that one might be some sort of adjuster that limits the amount of power being given to the heating elements, because there's no way they could advertise this as an 800 watt unit with the current draw that it's doing right now. So either it's a different controller they use, or there's an adjustment that needs to be made. There's 800 watts of thermal energy coming off it. It's inefficient as hell. Yeah, this is unbelievably inefficient, but it's not really something. This is a very, very purpose-specific thing that I've got here. I have got this to assist me with doing things like this, because I can tell you, trying to get a connector like that off using either a solder sucker or a wick, a soldering iron, you, apart from the fact you have literally hundreds of pins that you have to desolder, you will never ever get this off without doing damage to it if you try and do it with any other method. And I really want to be able to get things like this off. RAM sockets are, of course, another really important one. I want to be able to get RAM sockets off computers without doing horrendous damage to the board and the socket. So I like to be able to heat them up here, get the socket off, then just let it cool, and away we go. Just have to be careful if you're putting a board on here with birdseed that you don't like slide it sideways and all the birdseed falls off. And don't tip the board on its side while it's still hot, because components will literally just fall off it. I'm sure all my breakers trip at 1750 watts. So here in Australia with 240 volts, it's supposed to be 240 volts. Someone told me recently that they dropped it down to 230, but I refuse to accept that. The way it is here with 240 volts, and they're all generally 10 amp breakers, that means that you've got a maximum of 2400 watts. But having said that, if you get I could quite happily run more than 2400 watts in here and not blow a fuse, so yeah. Anyhow, you lose a lot of the 2.7 kilowatt input power in the transfer from heating element to bed plate. They tend to have really basic silicon dioxide thermal paste between the two. Yep, I'm fine with that though. 240 of the finest volts. So anyhow, this is it here. I'm quite happy with it. I'm glad that I can now actually use it, because it's been sitting here for ages not being able to be used. I did actually try and buy a new one, a 230 volt one, and it's at the order. They didn't fulfill it. They kept on pushing the date back you know, will be delivered by so-and-so date, will be delivered by so-and-so, and they just kept pushing it back and back and back. And then eventually they just sent me a refund without even asking me. Obviously went past a certain time frame for dispatch, and so they just refunded it. And so at that point I thought to myself, well, let's see if I can get this one going. And yeah, I was able to, and I'm pretty happy with it all in all, so that's good. I have spoken a lot and done nothing so far. How about that? That's, so if there's anyone who's watching this stream to see me do some soldering, I do apologise that I haven't done any of that at all. I've just been yammering all on to everyone about flux and ultrasonic cleaners. And yeah, they're great for assembling SMD stuff if you're using paste and a solder stencil. But one of the things I have openly admitted on my live streams before is that takes all the fun out of soldering for me. I've definitely bought it for desoldering, not for soldering. Making a 30-pin 4 megabyte Macintosh 2X memory. Oh, cool. Yes, no, I will be making that because I actually have a need to make that memory now. I've got all the bits here for making it. I'm going to make it. I might even make one in this stream, eh? We like talking with you. Oh, that's nice for you to say. Did you see what the Apple IIe PDS cards sell for on eBay last night? No, I didn't. Can you please let me know? This is, I assume, a sale in Australia. Apple's anonymous. He's Australian, so that I am assuming that's going to be an Australian price you're going to be quoting. I can't stand watching this guy yammer on this. Yes. I have to say, Jay has been asking me to do a live stream now for days, so I had better make this a good one. I hope everyone got to see my live stream from last week where I was on Canadian Computer Collector's channel and we taught him how to solder. It was, we had a few technical challenges there in that Dan's audio was terrible and his camera couldn't really get particularly close to what he was doing, but it was still a fun live stream. Yeah, I haven't done a smash that like button yet, have I? Oh, hello, Rudy. Welcome to the live stream. And
smash that like button.
Go, got it. Smash. That was my 2E card. Max, could have sold it to me, man. 400. Yeah, it's not surprising. It's not surprising. This stupid and annoying thing is in 2007, I sold an LC475 with a 2E card on eBay. And for the life of me, I cannot figure out why I did that. LC475, yeah, okay, I'm fine with selling that. Limited amount of space, fair enough. But with the 2E card, I mean, the 2E card takes up no space. I could have just kept it here in a box. Okay. Last one sold on auction for like $500. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not going to spend that much money, and I don't mean that I'm trying to rip someone off. If that's a genuine market value, then and if someone wants to pay it, then that's all fine. But it's not worth that much to me. Because thanks to Rudy, shout out to Rudy's Retro Intel. Is it intelligence or is it Intel the chip? Anyhow, thanks to Rudy, I actually have a real Apple IIe. So, want to hear a classic irony? Okay, this is a classic irony. I'll try and tell this story quickly. The Apple IIe, one of the really, so I got this 2E from Rudy, very, very generous. I have had to play with it. I'm going to have more plays with it. I'm going to do some videos on it as well. It's a 110 volt model. And obviously, we've mentioned here a lot, we're running on 230 volts here. 240 volts, should be. And anyhow, one of the really cool things about the 2E is that the power supply has a little thing you can rewire really easily to change a 110 volt to a 240 volt and vice versa. So if you've got a 110 volt unit and you want to change it to 240, you just move a couple of things around. They're even labeled on the board what you need to do. It's like, that's awesome. Unless it's a really early model power supply. And those ones can't be converted easily from 110 to 240 volts. And That's what's in this one. So, but thankfully I have a step-down transformer, so I can just plug it into 240 volts and then just step it down to 110 and still use it quite happily. I also got, I haven't picked it up yet, I'm picking it up tomorrow, the little screen, the little green screen for the 2C. So I've got the little green screen in the stand, the little ET head screen. I am picking that up tomorrow, so I will be able to have a nice little complete Apple IIc unit and sit there and get into a little bit of Montezuma's Revenge. Yeah. Looking forward to that. An LC with a different 2E card once. Oh, gosh. Okay. Intel like stuff I know, as in intelligence, that sort of thing. Yep, cool. Has reefer caps on the 2E PSU? Yes, it does indeed. You're going to getting a PSU from Reactive Micro for your 2E. Yeah, I mean, look, there are lots of options out there. I don't want to spend a whole lot of money on it right now. I mean, I may well. Interesting thing, I may have even mentioned this on stream before, but when this 2E came in, there was obviously some suspicion about what it was, because the old Customs had a damn good peek inside. By the time I got it and had a sticker on saying inspected by Customs, and they had pulled everything out, taken things out of boxes and containers, and then just basically thrown it back in again. Thankfully, they delivered it very gently after that, and nothing got damaged. But yeah, they really had a good old look inside. So they're obviously 2Es are considered particularly suspicious. 405, and the last one sold for 515 about 6 months ago. Extraordinary. Completed my first recap of my Mac 512K analog and logic board. Worked first go. Wonderful. Plenty practice on old boards. Thanks for a great video. Stop. You are most welcome, Will. Thank you for joining. Bruce, the Mac Plus flyback transformer is on the way. Should arrive in a few days. Dalbani seems to have a lot of stock, so if there's any compacts you have that need one, thank you very much. The moment I don't. I think I had one that needed one, and I had one spare. I don't have any spares at the moment, but thankfully I haven't had that very much. I haven't really been having an issue with the flybacks lately. I haven't been getting many of the old Macs. I'm mainly been getting classics and classic 2s. They were both mine. Look at this. Max is just sitting here. He's sort of doing very well from the old vintage Mac sales. Look at that. 9 more machines to do. Yeah, I've got so many classics that I need to get sorted out at the moment. I'm just working on this one here today because it's a bit easier. I've actually got to go in and do a little bit of research. So, just a very quick thing for you, Will Jacobs, about the 512K, and this is the same with the 128K, and it's the same with the Mac Plus. Right down the bottom of that analog board, there are a whole bunch of little resistors along there, and they have a fairly high rate of failure. So, you know, if you do have that conk out on you, that's one of the first places I tend to look at. Check out those resistors on the bottom and see that you haven't got any that are reading open. The profits only fund more machines, and God bless you too, sir. That's the way it's done. That is the way we do it around here. So anyhow, I'm going to just quickly give you guys a view of my messy desk, like this. And this is the computer that we're going to be looking at today. Now, this one belongs to one of my regular customers, a guy called Charlie. Shout out to Charlie. He is not only a regular recapping customer, but he also gives me stuff. And I try and give him some stuff as well. I think I need to give him some RAM sims. I think that was what he was after. I need to double check that in my messages. But anyhow, and he sent me a whole bunch of boards for recapping. Most of them have been fine. I'm at a point now where I've got this LC2, and then I've got an LC520, I think it is, and the 520 has no sound. Now, I'm going to run this past a few people about the sound thing, because you guys can be thinking about this while I'm working on this one. LC520, no sound. So, what would be the next step we would take in diagnostics if we have an LC520 with no sound? Now, keeping in mind that the LC520 is a board with the slide-in connector like a Color Classic or an LC575. So it's got the slide-in connector, so you slide it in. Now, that's number one. Number two, the amplifier for the audio signal is on the analog board. So it's not on the logic board. This one here, this one's got an amplifier on the board. But on the LC on the Color Classics and the LC520, the amplifier is actually on the analog board. So it just sends an audio signal to the analog board. So here's what I can tell you. In the case that I'm testing the LC520 in, the amplifier works, because if I swap logic boards, I get sound. That rules out one thing. Here's another thing. If I plug in headphones, I get sound from the computer. So I'm getting sound from the headphones, which tells me the sound chip's working, because we're getting an audio signal out. So if I'm getting sound to the headphones, but I'm not getting sound to the speaker, but I know the amplifier on the analog board works, what then? If anyone has any ideas or theories, I'd love to hear them. Okay. Jay does love beige. He will when he sells them all, put it that way. LC puzzle. Zap the PRAM. It's beige, so burn it. Check the headphone jack. Well, Kai, your instincts are good. That's the first thing I check, the headphone jack, and it is fine. So one of the important things about the way the headphone jack works on those computers is when you put a plug in there, it actually does a little switch. It activates a little switch inside the headphone socket. It does the same on these ones here. You can actually see that's the socket there. I think it's that one. And there's a little switch in there, and so that when you plug in a headphone plug, it opens the switch up or closes it, whichever one it does, and makes it so that it reroutes the audio where it would have been going to the speaker. It switches off the speaker and makes it come out the headphones, so that you're not getting sound coming out the headphones and the speaker at the same time. So that's what the headphone socket does, and I've already checked the headphone socket, and it is doing that properly. So that side of it is working. What else can I tell you? When I switch the computer on initially, I do get a faint pop from the speaker. That tells me that the amplifier is doing its job, but it's just not getting a signal. So what I'm thinking is possibly either something to do with the connector or the trace going from the output signal going through to the connector. I don't know. I'm going to have to go in and do some. Yeah. I mean, the trace between the IC and the connector. That's what I'm thinking. I'm going to have a look at that. It could be a grounding problem. That's always possible on those machines. I'll have to investigate that as well. Is there a way you can connect a test lead to the sound trace at the logic board connector in the machine in case there's a break between the amp and the analog board? Yeah, I can probably do that. Yeah, I can probably do that. At the end of the day, I'm gonna have to get creative with it. I'm gonna have to go in and have a bit of a fiddle here and there and just see what I can figure out. So yeah, I don't have a schematic for the LC520, but I do have the pin out for the sound chip that it uses. And I do have a schematic for the Color Classic, which I assume in theory, it's going to send that audio signal to the same pins on the connector. If it doesn't send it to the same pins on the connector, then that could well be the reason. Oh, by the way, Kai, have you seen those awesome things? They're like this for a multimeter. What you do is you plug it in, one plug, and instead of tweezers, what it is, it's a metal brush, this wide metal brush with metal bristles, so that you can plug it in and then you can just run the brush across a board to try and find a beep. So it works like your steel wool trick that you told me about, which works really well, by the way. But it's an actual purpose-designed thing for just checking along a board with this metal brush, checking for continuity. I'm buying one. I don't care what anyone says. Use a different. So when you say for the driver, you're talking about for the speaker. I have to run. Sorry. Okay. Well, thank you for dropping in, Rudy. I much appreciate it. Everyone, subscribe to Rudy. I said so. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, Kai. I will send you a link. Let me see if I can find one very quickly. I may not even be able to find one. But I saw one on someone's channel, and of course, here's the funny thing. You'll appreciate this, Kai. someone sent it to a guy who has a YouTube channel. I can't even remember who it was, but someone sent it as a gift to this person on the YouTube channel, and he got it, and he said, and he looked at it, he said, "Oh, I don't know what I'd use this for," and I'm just sort of looking. No, he said, "I don't know what this is used for," and it's like, "Oh, I know what that's used for." Okay, let me have a look here. Multimeter metal brush. Let's see if that finds me something. Could find something completely different. PCB short circuit multimeter. What do we got? What do we got? What do we got? Let me have a look. Let me have a look. No, that's not it. I have to look up and see if I can find it. It's got to be around somewhere. Shopping. No, these are all just brushes for cleaning things. It's not what I want at all. Come on, it must come up here somewhere. I know it exists. I've seen it. It was a real thing. It wasn't made up. Multimeter brush test. No. Oh, okay. I have to hunt it down. Find it, and see how we go. Okay. Just checking the... Headphones are out to the analog board. Sweep leads. I like the sound of that. Sweep leads. I'm going to search for sweep leads. Shopping. No. Oh, more hunting later on. Never mind. That'll be a fun project for another time. So, okay, all right, never mind. Let's continue. So, we have a board here that has been lovingly recapped by me. It has also had this socket placed in. For those who aren't aware, the LC2 had the capability for an FPU to be plugged in, but it had no socket there. It just had empty sort of solder holes. Well, full solder holes. They filled them up with solder. And so I put a new socket on there. Now this computer has been recapped, and when I plug it in, it goes and then it just goes white screen and doesn't get any further. So I've generally, LC2s are usually pretty durable, so I'm sort of feeling like it might be something fairly obvious. So we'll start our inspection mode. When it comes to recapping, if it doesn't work after recapping, there are a few steps that we go through. I might even have a list of steps that I can go through here. And we will start at the top and work our way down that list. I'm going to do a video on this very, very soon. No, not that one. Here we go. This is a script for a video that I've got coming up. Hi there, my name's Bruce Rain from Braggers Creations. Right, so step one. Is it clean? Yes, it's clean. It's been in an ultrasonic cleaner. It's clean. It can't be any cleaner. Yes, it's clean, so we can skip that one. Step two. Check your work. Check your work. That's the most important one that I have to tell people all the time. There is a particular person who does recapping in America. And no, I'm not talking about Steve at all. I'm not talking about Steve. I'm talking about someone else. Some of you may know this person. Some of you may not. This particular individual once contacted me to ask for help with a problem as to why a recapped computer was not working. And I did not get an opportunity to actually reply because I was very busy. A few hours later, maybe even the next day, I can't remember, this same person then replied to me and said, I found the problem. I had one of the capacitors on backwards. And I have to admit, I was a little bit frustrated with getting asked to help diagnose a problem when they couldn't even be bothered to check their own work before speaking to me. Oh, I got a thumbs down. Someone gave me a thumbs down. I haven't had one of those in ages. hello to whoever's given me the thumbs down. Thank you very much. I appreciate you coming. I appreciate you being motivated enough to actually press the thumbs down, and thank you very much. So I just always need to say the shout out, because I think it's a very positive thing from my perspective when you have actually got someone to the point that they actually want to press the thumbs down button. So thank you. Let's now go to the microscope view. So, it's Jay? It could well be. Well, no, he normally thumbs down if the live stream doesn't start when he wants, but it's already started now. So I'm going to start in this area here, because this is usually the most likely place we're going to have problems on a computer like this, because there are so many capacitors here. So first thing we're going to do is get a recapping guide, and we're going to check and make sure that I put all the right caps in the right places with the right polarity. Maybe it was the American guy. It could be. He could be watching me. Unlikely, though. I think he would say hello if he was. Or maybe he's just rude. Maybe he's just rude. Okay. But anyhow, the statement stands. You need to check your work. You have to check your work. It's really important to check your work. I had a analog board come in here from someone who had recapped it themselves, and they couldn't get it to work, and I just a relatively quick cursory glance, and I found two capacitors around the wrong way. And sorry, one capacitor around the wrong way and one the wrong capacitor in place. Could it be bad ROMs like the classics the other week? You know, it could be. I will check that. I'm going to go through the other parts of the checklist first, or some of them anyway. But it could definitely be bad ROMs. There's no doubt about that. These ones are soldered in though, so I'd really not have to remove them. And they can't be just put in the wrong place like the other ones. But anyhow, we'll see. We'll see. We'll check for the obvious stuff first. So this is an LC2 we're looking at. Oh man, this is a really old recapping guide, and it sucks. Okay, so this one up here needs to be a 1 microfarad 50 volt. Is that correct? Yes, 50 volt. There it is. Positive on the left-hand side. There we are. We're good. 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 So we'll check and make sure. Got no idea where that side goes. That must go to that one. So let's just get a little multimeter here. I really should just check my work first. We'll come back and do a closer inspection later on. So that is a 1 microfarad. Now, how do we know it's a 1 microfarad? Its code is 105. So that means 10, and the 5 denotes how many zeros follow that original number. So it's 10 followed by 5 zeros, which gives us a total of 6 zeros. So it's 1 with 6 zeros after it, which is 1 million. And that is 1 million picofarads. And 1 million picofarads equals 1 microfarad. So that's a 1 microfarad. 50 underneath it's 50 volts, so we're all good. Adrian Black, we heard him on the brush. We were talking about last. That could be who I saw. It could well be where I saw it. Someone sent me a link to it. I think Jay sent me a link to it. Okay, so that one is fine. That's the right one. Then we have 10 microfarad. These are all 10 microfarads. There's a little trail of 4 of them, 10 microfarads. So these ones here. Now these are 106, which means they are 1 with 7 zeros in front of it, which is 10 million picofarads or 10 microfarads. Got some nastiness here, so we could have some trace breaks around here. There's a little bit of crud, so we'll need to check this out. I think the problem we're going to find is going to be trace breaks in the end. I think that's why it's not working. So even just look at this. I don't know if you can see just there. We've got the UV mask raising up. So that will have, we've got copper underneath it, but if we've got that going on, we could well find somewhere where there is no copper underneath it. And see, even these joins here, from here to here, look like they could be compromised. But once again, I'm jumping the gun. I'm gunning, jumping, no jumping, gunning. Is that the little amplifier there? I think for the LC2. I think that's the amplifier. I think, but I could be wrong. Right, so they're all positive to the left. 4 10 microfarad 16 volt. So 10, 16, 10, 16, 10, 16, 10, 16. This one, of course, has the positive to the bottom. So positive at the bottom, left, left, left. So they're all good. That little row there of 10 microfarad 16 is good. This one on the right here, positive down, 10 microfarad 16 volt. He's nice. This one and this one, 10, 16, positive down, nice and nice. What else we got? That's one of the original ones, so we're not going to worry about that. That's a 10, 16, positive to the right, looking good there. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. That is what I call a very compromised trace. We'll need to definitely clean that up. I mean, that may not even be right, but I jump in the gun again. Here's a question. Is there a rationale for most tantalum caps used in logic board repairs being D case size rather than C case size, or both are the same rating? For me, a lot of the case sizes has to do with an aesthetic, mainly for me. I quite like the size based on how it fits in the spot. So I tend to choose caps that I like the look of. When people put teeny weeny little caps in place of what used to be a largish electrolytic cap, I find it looks a little odd. So I mainly choose case sizes for aesthetic and for ease of use. That's the main thing for me. I can't remember which one's C and which one's D. It says so in the codes for these things, but it doesn't say so on the actual case itself. So they're basically just different sizes with those case sizes. So, but I can't remember which one's which. LC will boot with LC2 ROMs. If you need to try spare build. Okay, I managed to test LC2 ROMs in an LC. Okay, yeah, cool. I'm not pulling these out until I really have to. I think at this stage, I'm feeling, just based on these initial glances, I'm feeling like we'll probably find some busted traces somewhere. Okay, let's keep looking around. Oh, why aren't you moving? That's why you're not moving. We've got another 10 here. Did we already check that one? No, I don't think so. So that's a 10 face. Oh, God, zoomed in a bit. Zoomed in much. Positive down. Positive down. 10, 9, 10. Oh, okay. 10, 16. Up. Oh, excuse me just a minute. I just need to message my better half and let her know that the washing has finished, because I know she wants to get another load on. There we go. Doing my duty here. Right, okay, let's continue. Let us continue. 10 microwatt 16 there. He's facing down. He's facing up. Now, up here we have a 100 microfarad 6.3, so that's 107. That's good. That's facing down. We've got a 47 here. That's facing down. Good. And another one. There's that one facing down, and that one facing up. So this little cluster all appear to be correct. So my checking my work thing seems to be good. And then we have 3 over here. We've got this one there facing down, 47. This one facing down, 47. That one facing up, 47. So in the check your work, I think we can fairly safely say that I did put the right things in the right place. Sounds like a Bosch washing machine. It is a Bosch washing machine. C case one's in a spot for an SMD 6.3 electrolytic. D's almost eclipse the pads in a lot of cases. Yeah, okay, so let me just show you that. So this is a D then, if this is what we're talking about. This is a D, replacing, oh, I guess it's a 6.3. So the 47s, they're the bigger ones, and then you have the little ones in the place of like this one and this one. Now that one there is, I think that one there is a, I could be wrong, but I think this is a D, that one there. These fit on, I mean, they are virtually the same width as the pad, so they're a little bit tricky to solder. But at the same time, I do quite like the aesthetic of those. I think they sit quite nicely in that location, but they are a bit fiddly. However, when we're dealing with these little guys here, there's so many of them, they're all so close together. I go with a smaller case for these ones. It's just much, much easier. So, transistor Q3 looks a little crusty. Might be worth a cleanup. Which one was it? It was Q3, you say? Q3, 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 Q. There. Yeah, he does look crusty. I think we're still... Okay, so what's happened here is when I've put the hot air on, it's squeezed out a few little bubbles in there, and it does look crusty. I'm fairly confident that's still making a connection and is not the problem, but I don't see any harm in tidying that up. All right, so we're working our way through the list here. We did the first one was, is it clean? That was, the answer was yes. The second was check your work. 3 is check for shorts. Oh yes, okay. So this is what we're going to check for. And this is a really, really important thing. Now I normally check for this when I'm doing it anyway, but we'll have a look. And that is that when you have a tantalum capacitor like this, it has a wider pin on it than the original electrolytic. You can see that when I zoom in here. You can see... you probably can't see that. There we go. You can see the top of that mound of solder. You can see the width of that there. And then when we zoom down to the pad, you can see the pad is much narrower. Because the pad is wider than, sorry, because the pin of the cap is wider than the pad, it can hang over. And as you can see here, there's a trace running up the side there. And you could easily create a short by getting that to touch that trace if that trace was exposed. Happens quite a bit. Now, you could see I've coated that with UV mask to prevent that from happening. And it's probably fine. And it'd be pretty easy for me to test, I guess. Where does this one go? I might just expose a little bit so I can test. But I'm just going to expose that. And I'll get my little multimeter. Now, multimeters. What do people have to say about multimeters? Are they important? Very important. So, if you don't have a multimeter, or you're not happy with the multimeter you have, you might need to get a new one. And if you want to get a new one, and you don't want to spend too much money, but you still want lots of features, I would recommend you grab yourself a Kaiweets KM601 multimeter. Look at all those functions. And you would not believe how inexpensive this multimeter is. And what a beautiful looking screen. Great big color screen like that. Just looks like that. Isn't it beautiful? It even tells you what the ambient room temperature is. And Thomas has a blue case. So there we go. Let's just hide that now and we'll do some... I said, oh, wrong thing. I hid my Brancos logo. We don't want that. No one will know who I am. Check your work around the op amp. So just a quick mention here, Enzo, this one isn't a sound issue with this one. This one is a completely dead one. So the LC520 I was referring to before, which has a sound issue, but this one here is actually a completely dead. This one doesn't fire up at all. Oh, by the way, I've been very happy with my Bosch washing machine, Kai. I have to say, I always have a Bosch dishwasher, and they have been excellent. So, all right. So I'm going to put this into continuity mode, and I'm just going to check to make sure that I haven't created an accidental bridge here. and I have not. A little accidental short, so that's good. But that's the sort of thing that we're looking out for. We're looking to check and make sure, we'll just have a look at all of these components and make sure that we haven't accidentally created a short somewhere. That one's not an issue. You can see with this one here, there are no traces really running around there that we have to worry about. This one here, and once again, I am pretty safe with this sort of stuff when I do it. I usually, if I have any traces that I think might cause an issue, I'll generally coat them with UV mask. But I tell you what, we are going to have to be buzzing like crazy here, because look at some of these, you know. I mean, look at that. Bang. First one I test. Trace broken. No beeps. Break right in there. Right, let's clean him up and we'll get that restored. Where'd it go? There he is. Why did I go around that way? That's not going to help. Let's go around this way. God, I'm going to have to try and get that soldering iron in there. It's going to be interesting. So, I'm going to reach for a flux. Shall we play flux roulette? I'll just grab one and we'll see which one we get. Or does someone have a request? Would someone like me to grab a particular flux? Got this Series 7 machine a few years ago. It's never failed, but the constant beep when it finishes is annoying if you're watching a movie. Well, we get around that issue by having our washing machine in an outdoor laundry, so we don't hear it at all. I obviously hear it when I'm down here because I'm right next to the laundry. So, and I have to say, the other thing with the Bosch dishwasher that I have, I just cannot believe how quiet the thing is. When that dishwasher is going, like, because our kitchen living area is kind of a big open L-shaped type thing. The old dishwasher I used to have, and even like my friend who had a Fisher and Paykel, he, you know, when he turned his dishwasher on, it's like the room was filled with sound. But you know, with our one, you barely hear the thing going. Use the dirty flux you don't like. Oh, I tell you what. What's a flux I really don't like? Here we go. Here's an MG Chemicals. I don't like that one. Let's try that one. Oh, God, this is going to reek. I might need to change my tip. I think I might go with a bent conical because I need to get into a sneaky little spot here. No EEV blog DMM. No. I have bought a multimeter on David Jones' recommendation, but it's the one that it's my kind of portable one. So I have obviously lots and lots of multimeters. You know, I've got multimeters like ones for working on the car, and then I've got ones that I have in the house, and then I've got ones that I have down here. I've got one that just sitting here all the time, I'm using as a thermometer. I've got a little tiny one. Senwar, I think, is the brand, and it's tiny. It is like minuscule. It's a tiny, weeny little multimeter, and that's the one I just keep to, sort of just any round the house job, or if I'm going somewhere and I maybe need to do some testing. It doesn't take up much space. All right, so we can't see the flux at the moment, so we're going to see it. There we go. There's a goopy flux. What is not good about this one, what I don't like about this one, is that it is, well, this one's a bit probably past its use by date, but it stinks. It really stinks, so I'm going to turn on my fume extractor quick smart. Smelly. And it's quite opaque, as you can see. I can't see through it until I burn through. Don't like that. Are you joining, or am I just not joining? I might have to run a little wire in there. I don't want to run a little wire in there, but I think I might have to. Oh, that's way too thin. Gooey, stinky. Yep, don't like it. I should mention just EEV blogger. Just like to make mention every now and again of other Australian YouTubers. He does some really interesting stuff. He has no idea who I am, but I know who he is. And he, one of the things which is great is, you know, he is just insanely smart. But one of the fantastic things is people send him really interesting things. So he gets to work on really cool stuff. Come on. Come on, you little piece of wire. You're making me look bad. I maybe should use tweezers. What do you reckon? I'm going to get some tweezers. Tweezers! God, that flux stinks. I'm not using that one again. No, sir. Come on, little piece of wire. Get where you want to be. Okay, so, oh, you can't see it, sorry, but look how dark this has become. This is that MG Chemicals flux. It has just gone this really awful brown color. I can't even see through it anymore. There is a very good reason not to use MG Chemicals flux. I still ended up seeing someone posting today on Facebook asking about flux, what sort of flux to use. And there was still someone that had the hide to say, all you need is the flux in your solder. And, you know, I mean, it's like, okay, look, that's fine. If that's all you're doing is through-hole soldering and you don't need it for anything else, that's great. But don't sort of offer recommendations. Now it has, oh, wow. Look at what this stuff has become in such a short time. It's like become this hard, crystallized yuck. Whose idea was it to use that one? Damn, that's extraordinary. Wow. Okay, that one is just awful. Awful, awful, and I keep not putting the right stuff in the view. Sorry about that. Oh wow. Look what the flux cleaner did to it, made it go a weird colour. So get in there with a brush. Okay, let's check and see that we have restored continuity. That's one of the slowest I've ever done, but never mind. Let's get a couple of leads. Beepity beep beep. And we've restored continuity there. So there's a good one. That was a nice one. How about this? This doesn't look too crash hot. Still got copper underneath, so that's fine. When you find something ugly like this, it's really a good idea to get it clean. And then we'll coat it with some solder. So I'll tell you what we will do. We'll change tips and we'll use a sensible solder. I mean flux. MG Chemicals flux needs to go in the bin. Yeah, it probably should. The only reason I am going to keep it So I am likely to be doing a flux off later on, and I would just like to keep the tube just to show the different types. So here's Interflux. I'm going to use the Interflux one now. This one is not a bad flux. Smells a bit, but I quite like it. This one smells like the original Formula V2 from Amtech. All right, let's go in and do a few little beepity beep tests here, because I think we are going to find continuity issues all over the shop. Where's that one going? Where is that one going? No. Okay, cool. All right, we're good. Oh, where are we going now? We're going miles away. Let's try that one. That one? Did that one? Yep. I'm not sure I can be bothered tracing all these traces all the way. Too hard. Not too bad. Not too bad. I couldn't check all of them, but the ones that I checked were pretty good. There between the two tents, there some UV mask over it, but the pad on the V looks crusty. Yeah, I think I saw the one before. Was it, you said 16 and 17? Let's have a look. 16, see 16, 17? Yeah, see this one here I really don't like the look of. I'm going to check that and I'll probably just clean it up anyway. Okay, we've got continuity, but we'll give it a little bit of a lickety-split clean anyway. Trouble getting in position here. Come on. Come on. Okay, so we're going to try a different flux this time. This one is the Chip Quick. And I have to say, this has got to be one of my favourites. It's very expensive for me to buy, so I'm not likely to buy it, but it's a damn good flux. There's some UV mask over it, but the pad on the V looks crusty. Yeah. Which Chip Quick they have it as a... Sorry, yes, I should tell you. This is called SMD4300TF10. So SMD, we obviously know what that means. TF is tacky flux, so it's 4310. That's the one. Hey. What? Oh, I just realised. No. There we go. I was doing something the other day where I needed to remove my face from this and I forgot to put it back. Been depriving all you people of seeing my face. It's a cruelty, isn't it? So this is the one here. It's a very light coloured flux. It's not like the other Chip Quick, which is kind of brown, kludgy, awful. Very nice. It's very, very nice. Okay, so We're just looking for ugliness basically around here, and we've got it everywhere. It's okay. It's okay. It's a hell of a lot more than $18 for 10cc here. This cost me about $35 for a 10cc. Multimeter C. Where's that one go? Okay, it goes there. Alright, so that's good. The connection's good there. Yeah, I reckon 3 a.m. is a good time to have toast. It's pretty close to breakfast time, isn't it? I'm going to clean this up because it is very crusty. It was one of the ones pointed out by Kai earlier, and I think we could do a hell of a lot worse than tidy up these joints. Yeah, much prettier now. So I've had one very definite trace break. This one here I don't like the look of, even though it's been covered in mask. Well, let's just check it. How do you remove, replace 6100 feet? 6100. 6100. Is that a pizza box? Yeah, that's a pizza box, isn't it? Like a 610. The feet removal. I think they slide, there's like a little plastic tab or something and you slide them out. You can buy reproductions of those. Oh, that's that one. Oh, multimeter has switched on. Yeah, this is one of the things to remember is those 6100. It's so funny. I'd never had any problem with those feet on those large pizza box computers. And I was sort of like, yeah, no, they're, sort of, they're reproduction ones for them. Why are there reproduction ones for them? They're fine. And then, like, no sooner had I said that one fell off one of my computers because it was broken. Once again, spindle plastics. Right, so oh, that there. Okay. So, where does that trace go? Just go through to the other side, I wonder? I wonder if I've got another LC2 board that I can check that with. I think I do. I think I've got a spare one here somewhere. It's one of the handy things. That's a 475. One of the handy things is if you have like a donor board or something, you don't care what happens to it. You can kind of mess with things to find out where things are going. I need a better way of storing my donor boards. This is just stupid. There we go. Tell it LC2. Yeah, that's an LC2. Okay, so where are we looking? Where am I looking? I'm looking there. C12. This one's a real mess, this board. C12. C12. Oh, hot air station's not switched on. Okay, so that one there, right, so he just goes through to the other side of the board. He doesn't actually make contact with anything on this side of the board. So, I'll only come back to him if I feel I need to. Right, let us continue. I'm going to go over here because there was some ugliness I saw over here. Trusty multimeter. Yep. Okay, well, it's making contact there, but I am going to clean that up because I don't like the look of it. The more I clean up, the worse it looks. Scalpel. How do I lose the scalpel so easily? There it is, it's just buried under a mound of stuff. The thing that always amazes me on a dirty workbench is the way stuff migrates. I don't know if anyone else can appreciate this, but when you, if you've got stuff on a desk and the desk is messy and things start piling up, you might go looking for something, and as you go looking for something, you end up pushing things out of the way. Reed Renfield, hello to you. They texting you again. Yes, it was to the group. It was to the group that came up, and I think he's having a whinge about how hot it is where he is at the moment. He doesn't like hot weather. Exact opposite of me. I'm going to clean this one up. It doesn't look good at all, even though we do have continuity. I've mentioned this many times. You'll hear this in my live streams all the time. There is a weak point where a trace joins a via, or a trace becomes, whoopsie, or a trace becomes a, whoopsie. God, I'm making a right mess here. Too much solder. Or a trace becomes a pad. There's a little joiny point, and you and that joiny point is quite a weak point, and so we're looking out for those. Joiny point. That's a technical term. I'm on a bit of a mission at the moment to try and get some of the old boards that aren't working out of the way. It's a pain because all these problem boards take way longer to work on than the straight recaps. But I've just got to start getting rid of some of the boards that I have here. It's just I don't have the space to keep everything. I've got a box on my living room floor, great big box. My wife keeps saying, "When's that box going?" Okay, no toast for me. I literally... Oh, you nodded off. Okay, fair enough. Okay, well, thank you very much for joining, Kai. I hope I can get by here without you. Fingers crossed. But thank you very much for joining, and thank you for staying up so late, and sleep well. Looking, looking, looking. So we have fixed one very definite trace break on this so far. So that is a good sign. What I'm doing now is hunting down to see if there are any other obvious trace breaks. That was one I saw before that I don't like the look of. I mean, I think it's probably still... Oh, actually, I was going to say I think it's still got continuity, but I'm not sure. That one is really bad. It's so bad. It needs to be fixed no matter what. Yeah, look at that. Still got continuity. Who'd have thunk it, eh? Yep, got to be cleaned anyway. Charlie's here. Guess whose board this is, Charlie? Okay, so far we have found one very definite trace break, which we have repaired. I haven't really paid much attention to whether it's part of a circuit that might impact the thing not working, but it could well be the cause. I did ask you once about a Quadra 950 board, but no reply. Did you? What was the question? This is a Quadra 950 board here. One of the frustrating things about a Quadra 950 board from a repair perspective is it doesn't have any surface mount electrolytic capacitors, so if you've got a problem with one, recapping ain't going to fix it. But nice big board. Pain in the neck. One of the reasons why I built a large ultrasonic cleaner. Now, was yours the one you were asking about battery damage? I think. Oh, so I'm trying to get this on camera. This is one that's actually had battery damage as well. If I could buy one off you. Oh, I don't have one, sorry. No, the only one I have is this one, and this one doesn't work. So, this one's shot. As you can see, it's had a couple of the RAM things taken off. We've got trace damage all the way through there from the battery explosion. We have... so that's where the battery would be. So it's leaked basically down there. This is probably repairable the more I look at it now. The only reason I didn't repair it was because I got one. I got one that was working. But now that I look at it, it's not a whole lot of damage really. It's just this trace damage underneath the RAM slots. Probably repairable. I'll tell you what, I'll give this one a have a look-see at. And if I can get it working, yeah, I may well sell it. It's certainly too good to use as a donor board, that's for sure. Where's the CPU? I think I may have got this without a CPU. So just to be forewarned is forearmed. No CPU on it. In you go. Oh, sorry, the microphone's scratching me at the moment. Sorry, this is going to make awful noise. Sorry. Huge case I don't want to build. Yeah. Oh, I'll have a look. I'll see if it's repairable. Might be. Let's continue our inspection of this board with the scope. How are we doing here? We've got 34 people watching. We have been running for an hour and a half. So the board's pretty clean in areas that aren't near those capacitors, so that's good. Another thing I always check for when you have boards that aren't working is check these pins here for these sorts of ICs like this here. sometimes this happens and you end up with a short, and it's enough to make them not work. What's going on here? Let's see if these messages are important or to me. Righty. Alright, so let's continue looking at this board. I'm just going to keep making my way around, looking for anything that looks a little bit scungy. We've had one absolute definite trace break that we have repaired, which was just here. Some of these, yeah, most of these other ones we've gone and checked and they've actually been good. Good. Very good. I will have to test this. I find the easiest way to test an LC2 is in an LC2 case. Because unless it's in the case, you can often end up with weird things going on with the sound. There's obviously things getting grounded in a particular way when you connect them up. Just mentioning, obviously we've got RAM chips here. We have over here, this is our CUDA chip, also known as the, what was it called? I just don't like the look of that trace down there. Can't get to it though. This is the stupid socket I put in. Let's see if I can get to it with a scalpel. What have we got? Come on. The positioning on this one is just horrendous. Still, we're making contact there. There's a little bit of blackening there, but we've definitely got continuity there. Egret chip. That's it. No egrets. Beep, 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 beep. I don't know whether I like a machine to beep when it's about to switch off or not. I find it, I get really annoyed when the Flux switches itself off and you don't know that it switched itself off because you just grab the leads and you start testing and you're going, oh, no continuity, that's it. And then you realise it's because the thing switched itself off. So that I find really frustrating, but then at the same time, things constantly beeping at you is pretty annoying as well. So I don't know which I prefer out of those two. I guess probably beeping is the more logical thing. And have it beeping at you, letting you know that it's switching itself off. Rather than just grabbing some leads and thinking the thing's on, but it's not really. Okay, have a little quick look on the underside. Which one do you use and recommend, I wonder? Yes, I've done the Kaiweets thing already this time around. Shall we do it again? Yes, let's do it again. You know what? If you're looking for a Kaiweets for a multimeter, I can highly recommend a Kaiweets KM601. If you are interested, if anyone is interested, there are links in the description, so you can check that out. What on earth is that? I don't think that was there for testing. I think that's been picked up while I've been working on it today. But I tell you what, if that was there during testing, it would not be good. See, the thing is that this has been through the ultrasonic cleaner, and there's no way that all that fluff would still be on there if that was there before it went into the ultrasonic. So I think I've just picked that up while working on it today. We will remove that. So yeah, another thing we do when we're checking, looking for things to see why they aren't working, have a look on the underside. See if any of the little birdseed things have fallen off here. They do fall off from time to time. Or get knocked off, get bumped off. Happens. No one's to blame. Except maybe the person who knocked it off. Now these ones here look like they might have had components fall off, but they are just not meant to have components on there. The way you can tell is the fact that it's a mound. It's a little solder mound. And components get knocked off, they leave little hard edges on the solder. Because there are lots of instances where you end up with, that's got a nice bit of goo there, you end up with areas where there are no components, and they are meant to not have components. If you are reading a schematic from a modern Mac, it would be labelled as no stuff. So when you're looking at a modern board and you might have a schematic to check it, and you see a component's not there, you think, oh, I wonder if that's meant to have a component there. You look on the schematic, and it shows the area, and it says no stuff. No stuff. Yep, looking pretty good there. Okay, well, I'm going to go and get an LC2 chassis now, and we're going to test this to see if that one little trace break is it. I'd like to remain optimistic. I sort of feel like it may not be that, but you know what? Got to test it. How dirty was this board? Had been in storage for ages. I don't remember. I recapped this such a long time ago, I have no idea. I recapped it, tested it, didn't work, put it into the need to sort it out pile. Can't be everywhere all the time. This is very true, Jay. No one expects you to do that. Mind you, that's what iPads are for. Take the iPad to the bathroom. No. Right, okay, so I'm just going to do my quick little back soon thing. Just be aware that sometimes this is a little bit louder than the normal audio, so just hands on your volume there in case. And I know exactly where it is. I'll be back in like 60 seconds. Back soon. Hello. Okay. So I just had a little brownie. Yum, yum, yum. Sweet treat. All right. So this is my LC2 here. I really like this one. I use this one for a lot of testing. This is the one that just gets whipped out because it's so easy. It's all open. I can just open it up, drop in a SCSI emulator, whatever, blue SCSI, SCSI 2SD, whatever it happens to be. It's very handy. I've taken the VRAM out for some reason. I probably put it in this one. Yeah, I think I put the VRAM in this one. This one's got two 4 megabyte SIMs in it, and then I think it has 2 already, so that takes it up to 10 megabytes, and I believe that's the limit on this one. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure 10 megabyte is the cap on the old LC2. This one I also have an Ethernet card on here in the PDS slot, and of course I've got the FPU socket on here as well. Yeah. So anyhow, this one's my one. I like it. It's a very handy little thing. I don't do much on it other than testing, but it's just nice and convenient for testing. Tell you what did happen. The LCD monitor that I use for testing broke the other day. I'm not sure if it's worth trying to fix it, just get another one or what. So, Ethernet card, yay. This one has the old thin Ethernet here, the coax thin Ethernet, and the 10 base T there as well as an option. A lot of people probably don't even remember thin Ethernet. The older ones would, but the youngsters probably don't. But there was a time when there were kind of 3 different versions of Ethernet floating around. It was thick, thin, and 10 base T. Just in case you're wondering what those 3 were. Okay, that's my board. That's my board. It's my board. Oh wow, this one's got socketed ROMs. This one doesn't. Huh, okay. I should mention this little 512K VRAM SIM, courtesy of Drake. If anyone knows Drake, you'll find him on Tinker Different, very active. This one's from Drake. Sent it to me. Very kind of him. Thank you, Drake. Don't forget to visit Tinker Different. I've been a little bit neglectful of my role there at Tinker Different because I've just been so busy lately. Just been working some ridiculous hours and pretty much work 7 days a week. And yeah, I just haven't really had a chance to spend as much time on that as I want. But that's all right. We'll get it sorted. Also got a little socket here, you can't quite see it there, for a second floppy drive. You could have run a second floppy drive off this if you wanted. Okay, I'm not going to connect up a hard drive, that's just stupid. All we really need is a speaker and a fan. Turn this exhaust fan down a little bit. It's got some RAM on board, so it's not needed to boot it. I think you need VRAM in this in order to get any sort of video. We're not to that stage yet, but may as well have it connected up. I'm going to grab myself a power cable here. Woo! Thank you very much for posting that, Jay. Really important thing. People often just send me messages, either through my Facebook, my YouTube videos or my Facebook page, and they just asking me things like, "Oh, I've got this, and can I do this, and can I fix it with this, and what would you do after this?" You know, if you want to get answers for those sorts of things, you will get them way faster posting them on a forum like Tinker Different. There are people on there all the time, and they're incredibly helpful. And the people on there are way smarter than I am, with incredibly broad range of knowledge. I mean, it is just, there are people there that cover such specific interests. I mean, there are people like Tech Knight are on there, and seriously, I mean, Tech Knight is an absolute freaking genius. You know, like people like K Cobra is on there. You know, who else? Kai is on there. I mean, there's such an incredible wealth of knowledge on that forum. So yeah, if people are looking to get help on things, you'll generally get answers way quicker from a forum like that than you will from asking me. Okay, so we're going to test this out now. We've got a speaker connected, so if it's going to chime, we should hear it. Sometimes LC2s, when they're not working properly, make some of the most spectacular sounds. So everyone, keep an ear out. See if we get some farty noises or whatever happens. So, 3, 2, 1. How was that? Wasn't quite what I would call a chime. Just fell short slightly. But I am going to connect a screen to it to see if we're getting any sort of video. Oh, where's my battery? Oh, there it is. It's fallen off. All right, I'm going to see if I can reboot it. I'm going to connect the keyboard to it. I'll see if we can restart it. Okay, so we have got a video signal, and it comprises of a white or grey, could be white, grey or white screen. We don't have the rounded corners, we don't have a mouse, so we're not getting far in the boot up process. So I'm going to plonk that there. I'm going to connect the keyboard to it, which I happen to have one here. Here's a keyboard I prepared earlier. Anyone who sort of wants to say, put a new PRAM battery on it, not needed for this computer. So, was it Control Command? Okay, so what we do know is that it is responding to the keyboard. That narrows a lot down, so we know that keyboard is working. We also know that the reset command is working. And that's what comes from this this CUDA chip or this egret chip. So that again does rule out certain things. We can say that that there are certainly some things working on it, but it's not getting past a certain stage. And a suggestion made by Kai earlier on to check out the ROMs is actually sounding like a pretty good suggestion now, because I'm starting to feel like that might be a good place to look at the old ROM-loms. I don't think I've ever had an issue with ROMs on the LC2, but you know, there's always a first for everything. You like the noise? How cool is that? So, what are we thinking about getting these ROM chips off? Do you reckon I should fire up the heat bed and we'll see if we can whip them up that way? Or am I just going to destroy the board in the process? So I had Mike. Mike's not here with us today, unfortunately. I don't know, he's probably busy or tired or something like that. Oh, no, that's right, he's at VCF. He was at VCF, so he's probably either staying somewhere or exhausted or whatever. But anyhow, Mike and Jay got to experience the heat bed the other day. They got to see me using it to remove some components, and why is it that every single one is friggin' socketed except for this one? Damn it. Oh, Mike's there as well. Of course, yes, Mike's staying with Steve. I knew that. Hello, Mike. We only fell asleep once. It's all right. I understand it's been a busy day for you guys, so that's fair enough. But anyhow, so I fired up this heat bed. Now, the main concern I have about firing up this heat bed is it uses so much electricity. I've got the washing machine going on the same circuit at the moment. I suspect if I switch this on, I'll blow a fuse. And that will end my live stream real quick. Oops. Have to disconnect it from the mains power. Oops. That's a blue SCSI on the floor. See how fancy I am. I can just throw blue SCSIs around. Anyone who has ordered a blue SCSI from me lately, I apologise for the slow fulfilment. there are a number of reasons for the slow fulfillment, but I will hopefully get those out today. Sitting here next to Steve Dork. Okay. You wish VCF wasn't so far away. Try being on the other side of the planet. Okay. Right, so just another quick little look we're going to have here. These are the guys here. Rumble-ons. 73, 74, 75, 76. How cool is that trace? Look, it goes nowhere. It just stops. What a pointless little trace that is. Let's see if it's the same on this one. Where is it? It's just next to R2, next to R2. Yeah, look at that. Little nowhere trace. He's a real nowhere trace. Right, so this is a cruddy board. We don't want to look at that. This is actually a, apart from the little bit of scunge in this area, it's a remarkably clean board all in all. There are still many possibilities. We could replace the sound chip. Sometimes the sound chip can be a problem with these things here. Replace it with a known good sound chip. You might sort of think, well, why would it be the sound chip? This looks like it's been replaced already. The sound chip can actually impact the starting up. So I think I will replace it with a known good one from my board. I don't think I have any spares, so if it happens to be this problem, I'm up the proverbial creek without a proverbial paddle. So let's whip him off. We'll do a quick swap over. We'll just rule it out. The only reason I'm ruling this one out is because it's a very quick thing to rule out, and it has often been the cause of woe. Whoa! Has been the cause of woe. It also gives us an opportunity to look under it and see if there are any ugly looking traces under it. And then we'll put a known good one on there and see if we're still getting death metal sounds. Okay, so this one here, he is the possibly bad one. We'll plonk him there, because if he's good, we'll just put him back on. Let's clean up under here and to see how it all looks. Should boot without a sound chip installed, you reckon? I'll test that theory. Sorry, what's you call this thing? What do you call the thing? Soldering iron went to sleep. We're going to test your theory. We're going to test your theory, Max. I'm going to take sound chip off my known good board, and we're going to see if it starts without it. Because if it does, I want to know. We'll just clean that up. Okay. Right, so there's that board. There's a problem board. I know the LC will at least. Yeah, well, we will find out one way or the other. This is my what? Oh wow, look at the mess mine is. All that trace repair I've had to do. Now that I'm about to mess up. Never mind. all in the name of science. I'm using the Chip Quick Flux here. Doesn't smell much at all. Once again, I can highly recommend it, but I won't be using it because it's too expensive for me to buy. I can get the, what do you call that? Amtech Flux, way cheaper. Fume extractor, please. Wow, I did that with thin wire. I did that with really thin wire. Huh. Huh. How about that? I just need to make sure I'm not shorting anything on these pads. And then we are going to test a theory, because that's what we do here. We test theories of whether we can get this to start without a sound chip. Damn, I need more alcohol. And I cannot be bothered standing up. I'm going to have to stand up. This thing is absolutely empty. Excuse me there for a minute. Ah, dear. Oopsie. Oopsie. Set myself a bit of a booby trap there. I hope I didn't break that. That's alright, the blue scuzzy cushioned the blow. I've got the pieces of the LC2 just here. Doesn't help them in the middle of a coughing fit. But I have the pieces of the LC2 down here. And so I've set myself up a bit of an obstacle course to get around. Whoa. Okay, top up the old alcohol. This is a nice big 5 litre container of 99.997% isopropyl alcohol. Don't ask me what the 0.003% is, because I don't know. Yeah, sorry, I managed to just inhale a little bit of saliva before, which is a bit silly of me. I'm still getting used to this whole breathing thing. I've only been doing it for like 50 years. Okay. So, there is that. Just going to dry this off a little bit before we test it. So, what do we have here? We have an LC2 board sans sound chip, or son, for the French people. Okay, so this is the one we want to try and put on the other one. And we are going to grab a case. Now, I don't expect to get any sound, but we'll get to see if it boots. This is a known good board. This is my one. It works, or it did. There we go. Okay, plug in the fan, plug in the speaker, which isn't going to make any noise, plug in the power supply, plug in the monitor, which might now be broken, but we hope it isn't. Power light came on, that's a good sign. And and let's see what happens if we switch this on without a sound chip. All in the name of science. Dead as a doornail. Nothing. No fan, nothing. Completely. Oh, I haven't plugged in the power. So don't listen to me. I'm filling you with fiction. Let's try again. Yes, I would have expected at least a fan to come on. Okay. Yeah, fan's on. Video signal. Very similar symptom to the other one, unless it's just doing a RAM check, which it could be. We'll soon find out. Oh, yep. It's doing something. Oh, I haven't got a VRAM sim in it. I don't think I'll get video without a VRAM sim. So that's in the other board. But I definitely think that theory could be correct, Max, that we can start this up without a sound chip. So I guess this has got 10 megabytes of RAM. The RAM check probably taking a little while. Dana is here. Hello, Dana. Welcome. I'm not quite 50 yet, but I nearly am. Okay. So we're good. Well, we've got our little mousey cursory thing. We're going to get a flashing question mark. Okay, so that's a really good thing to know, that we know that it will work without a sound chip. So I'm going to test that other one now with no sound chip. There we go. Flashing question mark. That is it. We've come full circle. So. Okay. Here it is. No, it's not. Here it is. Let's get the VRAM in there. Okay. And it's got warm in here. It's starting to get quite warm. All right. So plug in that. So we're doing this again without a sound chip, just for fun. So it shouldn't make that horrible grinding noise, but we'll just see what it does. And on. One thing I can tell you is I am not looking forward to sticking a sound chip back on my one with all those little fiddly trace repairs. It's going to be a pain in the neck. Right, well, I think we've gone past that point. So, at this stage we've got a few possibilities. Possibility number one is there is still a busted trace on here somewhere. That is definitely a possibility. Another is we've got an issue with the ROMs. The only way we can test that is to take these ROMs off and try them with some different ones, which I can do, but I have to check and see if I've got sockets, because I'm not going to whip these off and stick new ones on without sticking sockets on there. So let's put this over here, because we are running out of space. Okay, this one, he can go here. We can make that an ever larger pile of boards, and we'll take this one out. Oi, oi, oi. How are people going? Is everyone getting sick of this LC2 board yet? I am. So, I'm going to have a look here first of all to see if there are any bent over pins. Yeah, we've got to unbend these pins if we're going to remove this. So where is my tweezers? These ones might work quite well for bending pins. Finally, I need better flux. What flux are you using at the moment, Dana? Just curious. Flux has been my life lately. I've got to get this sound chip back on. Get the little dot facing the dot, like that. And I'm going to get some flux. I am going to grab some NC559 ASM TF, tacky flux. Random flux. Oh, flux bent from JCar. Okay, yeah, it's really thin and watery. Gives me about 10 seconds to do work before it evaporates. Yeah. Well, I can tell you, if you're looking to buy in Australia, you can get this flux here from, sorry, I need to, have I lost my microscope view? Or am I just, scope view? Scope view? No, cool, it's there. I'm missing a view of some, no, yep, I am missing a scope view, because that's not a microscope, that's me. Let's just fix this microscope view up now. So yeah, there's a company called Mekronics, Mekronics. They're actually here in Western Sydney, but they obviously do. You can order online, and they sell this flux here, Chip Quick SMD 4300 TF10. If you're looking to buy locally, you'll pay through the nose for it, but it is it's a very good flux. If you wanted to go with the Amtech, then you can just order that from Amazon. Okay. Now we've got the scope view. Everybody happy. All flux is fake. Yep, that's a good one. Oi, oi, oi. There we go. So, we don't believe there's anything wrong with this sound chip. One problem I do have is I really don't know what the best way to get these ROM chips off is. I could sit here, solder sucking them away. Oh, actually, I'll tell you what I do need to do. I need to check if I've got any sockets, because if I don't have the sockets, I'm not even going to attempt that. Because, you know, I can take them off, sure, but I'm not going to put them back on until I have sockets. Let's see how that looks. Interesting thing is I've had quite a lot of issues with ROMs on computers lately. And I don't normally. I'm just curious as if it is the ROMs on this one. It will be like, why is everyone ganging up on ROMs lately? All right, let's see if we got sockets. I can buy them from the shop up the road, but I'm not going to do that while I'm live streaming. Whoa. Okay, no. What size socket is that? Short. Too short by 2 pins. So not that one. What about that one? Oh, they're chips, not sockets. Oh, they're little teeny weeny sockets. Okay, so I think that's a no. I don't believe I have sockets because I only keep a few sockets, very specific ones. So I'm going to have to go buy some. What a pain. Okay, what are we doing for time? Well, I've been going for 2 hours, so I think I will probably wrap things up at this stage. I know it's a very unsatisfying one because I haven't repaired this, but to be honest with the next step that I'm going to go through, I need to go buy some things to go and rip these ROMs off and then see what happens. So yeah, I think I'll probably wrap things up. I know it might seem like a short one, but it is 2 hours. And at the end of the day, I've still got many other things to get done today as well. 32 pin socket. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Yep. So let's just go and see if JCar have 32 pin sockets in stock. I'll check that now. Okay. Where are we? JCar. And 32 pin. 32 pin. 32 pin. Just a second. Sorry about that. Okay, so what was I doing? I was searching on JCar and I can see there's a 32 pin PLCC, which is of no use to me whatsoever. What if I just look at dip socket? Come on. I know you guys sell them, I've seen them. I might have to look in the paper catalogue. Their search engine is garbage. What if I went 28 pin? Oh yeah, okay. There's 28 pin, so they don't seem to have 32. That's a bit of a bummer. Not happy. 8 pin, 14 pin, 16 pin. Uh, 40 pin. I suppose I could cut the end off a 40 pin. Might compromise the strength of the thing. 18 pin, 14 pin, 28 pin. I could just buy 2 strips and run it up either side. That's a possibility. 40 pin. I might end up doing that, just get two strips. Yeah, no, it's got it in for 32. Doesn't like it. Okay, JCar do not have 32 pin. Piffle. All Things DG, hello. And Stian O, hello. Okay, I better go and check this out. Okay. Jay promised 4 hours. Jay. Oh. The reason, you know why Jay promised 4 hours? Because he's about to start live streaming as soon as I've finished, and he's going to go for 2 hours. So then it'll combine 2 hours from me, 2 hours from him. There's your 4 hours. So Jay promised it, so that's what's going to happen. How do you figure out what parts you need to recap? Is there a list of capacitors? So I do try and provide lists for some of the things. I can't for all of them. It's just too difficult. Just takes too much time to go in and do it. What I would suggest is, if you're in a situation where you're just wanting to buy just the caps for one job, look at console 5. You know, CONSOLE 5, the number 5. Check them out. They sell capacitor kits for a lot of things, where someone's done the work for you, and you buy a kit with a whole bunch of caps in it for a particular job. I would investigate that. If you're in a situation where you're wanting to do lots of recapping and you're wanting to acquire a huge big selection of capacitors, that's a different story. And you go in and you buy 5 or 10 or 20 or whatever of each cap at a time. That's a bit of a task to go in and do that. When it comes to the capacitors that I am looking for, I generally go for good quality, low ESR capacitors. You obviously need to make sure that the spacing of the leads is the same. So when you're searching for a new one, check and make sure that the lead spacing is the same. Make sure it's going to fit in the space that is on the board, because a lot of capacitors come in different physical sizes, even though they're the same rating of capacitor. So you need to make sure you get those dimensions of the original one, and make sure you get one that's going to be the same size or maybe shorter, that's going to fit in there. If you get one that's too long, it may not fit in there. So and then you're generally looking for quality. Sometimes, you know, you may not need a good quality cap, but I just think it's easier to replace them with good quality. It's not fixed yet, sorry, Retro Techie. The next thing I want to fix, or next thing I want to test, are the ROMs. But these ROMs are soldered onto the board, they're not in a socket, and I'm going to take these off, but I'm not going to put anything else on to test until I've got sockets to put in there. Because if I test it with some ROMs and it fixes it, I might be testing it with my good ROMs that I might want to take out again, and then try and source some ROMs from elsewhere. But anyhow, I want to put sockets on there. My local electronics place doesn't have this size socket, but what I will probably do is just get strips and just solder strips on either side, rather than having a socket that's joined in the middle. So I'll just have a strip, and then I can just put them onto the strip. It'll work fine. The chips themselves will hold them nice and still. Are people testing me to see if I remember what ESR stands for? Equivalent series resistance. Equivalent series resistance. Extra special resistance. I can fix anything. Oh, I wish. So anyhow, I'm fairly confident I will be able to fix this one. As I said, there could still be a broken trace up in this area here, but I do want to rule out the ROMs before I keep hunting that down, because it's weird. It's the fact that it's going through a startup process, it's making this horrendous noise, and then not getting any further. I don't know. I mean, it's not a sad Mac chime or anything like that. It's not chiming properly. And that, that to me, I'm worried about it being sort of garbled stuff coming out of the ROMs. So I do want to check the ROMs next. Right. Okay, well, I think that's probably it for me. So a cap with the low ESR can actually cause malfunction, but they're rare. So yeah, there we go. So what we have basically established is, when you're looking to replace caps, you want to try and replace them with as close to the original as you can. But even that can be bloody hard to figure that out as well. There is a video made by James Wages, JDW, his channel. It's a very long video, but he does have a video giving you a guide on replacing capacitors. So if you go onto his channel, JDW, you will find that he has a video explaining the different types of caps and what to replace them with. So it's out there if you want to go and do the research. So yeah, All right, well, I am going to just change over here to this this view here. I'm sorry it's not the longest of live streams, a couple of hours long. It's generally the time that I normally aim for, and I've just kind of reached this point now where I sort of feel like at this stage it would be time for me to start a new project, and I'm not going to start a new project 2 hours in. Got plenty of other things to get done around the house. So thank you guys for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Equally serious rissoles, I like that one. And just checking the chats going here. So, I don't know if you saw my message above, but I bought a tube of ASM from your Amazon link and got a V3 sample. I did actually see that in Rossman's Discord that a few people were getting that. So isn't that fantastic? You get a chance to give it a try. Look, if you get a chance to try it, see how it goes. I'd love to know what you think of it. I'm really interested in your thoughts on it. Feel free to just leave them in the comments of this video if you like. Just let me know what you thought of that V3. I'd be very interested to know. I've had a chance to test them out pretty extensively now. I'm formulating a pretty clear idea of what I like to use. I'm probably going to do a video on it at some stage. Not that anyone from the Rossman Discord will watch it, I don't think, based on some of the replies I've seen in there when I make a little mention of things in the Lewis Rossman Discord. I've had people, like I was posting something the other day, and there was like virtually an immediate reply of something like, well, they had basically they weren't aware of any of the stuff that had happened with the Flux. So it was just like starting from ground one, ground zero with them. So I wasn't like, no. Anyhow, it's not the pancake syrup smell of MG836. It's a different sweet smell. Yeah, it is quite sweet. I'm not sure if, with prolonged use, whether it might actually start to get a little bit much, but yes, it's a very sweet smell. So I would definitely agree with that. So, all right, everyone's saying goodbye to me, so I probably should shuffle off now. So again, thank you everyone for watching. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for keeping the chat going lively and all that sort of stuff. And I might try and stream again during this week. We'll see how we go for time. So thank you to everyone, and I will see you later.